Honestly, super easy. In my opinion, I would never drop the cross member. Just totally unnecessary. Do not overfill. What is up, guys? Jesse here with Adventure Endeavor. And if you don't know who we are Adventure Endeavor. We have been traveling the country for the past almost 6 years in various RVs, various different tow rigs, just kind of doing the full-time RV living thing. We recently picked up this Ram 4500 used. It had 135,000 miles. It was a Utah State incident vehicle, and we don't know what's been done to it. Hopefully it was maintained well. We have some records. But anyways, I decided to go ahead and do a transmission service. This has the Aisin Transmission. Today, we are gonna drop the pan, pull the filter down, put a new filter, fill it back up with oil, and I'm gonna show you step by step the best I can. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Also, we have a video on doing the same thing for a 68 RFE because we do have a 2500 as well. On that 2500, we do have a fuel filter video, which is the same on this truck. So if you wanna do fuel filters on this, go ahead and watch that video. I will link it in the description. We also have a CCV filter, which is the same on both trucks. We have a video on that, and we have a front differential and rear differential video on the 2500, which is very similar but slightly different than this truck. Overall, it's a similar process, definitely different. I'm going to show you all of the parts that you need and all of the tools that you need, and then the process and how I do it. I am not a mechanic, but you can tell we do have a fully stocked garage with most of the tools. We're going to show you what we need. We're going to link everything in the description. And that way, if you need to purchase anything, if you have any questions, let us know. This is what we are looking at here. Let's go ahead and start with the tools. You will need a 19mm ratchet, 6 or 12 point. I believe it's actually recommended to have a 6 point for the drain plug. Ratchet should come off pretty easily. You will need a 1/4 inch ratchet for the pan bolts and the filter bolts. You will need a 1/4 inch extension and a 10mm socket, and you're more than likely going to need this swivel for the 3 rear bolts. I saw online that some people pull the cross member. We're going to attempt to not pull the cross member because we have the correct tools. Should be hopefully not too bad. You're not gonna need, but it's recommended just to save time. You can use this drill or impact just to get all the 10mm bolts down. You are gonna need a torque wrench. Not need, but recommended. You can do it good and tight, German spec if you want. I always try to use a torque wrench whenever possible. I will list the torques later on in the video. All right, you're gonna need your fluid. This is the ASRC. This is what's recommended by Mopar. It's their brand, obviously. You don't need to buy their brand. I just try to because I just feel like it's what they recommend. Might as well. I got 10 of them. Should be enough. I will let you know how many my truck takes. That's gonna vary, the amount that your truck takes, because it all depends on how long you let it drain. You know, sometimes it'll just trickle for hours upon end, so I get over it and I just skip. You're gonna need your filter. So this is the filter. It takes 3 10mm bolts. Like I said, we got Mopar as well. And then you're gonna need your gasket. This is for the Aisin. It looks to be like a cork gasket. Some people said that the gasket is reusable, but I wanted to have one on hand at a minimum because you never know what you're gonna get once you get in there. Creeper is always nice to have, and you will need a catch can of some sort to collect your fluid. That's kind of it. It's honestly, hopefully a fairly simple video. We're gonna go ahead and get underneath and get cracking on it. All right, as you can see, here's my tag, making sure that I have the Aisin. You can see here, these are the 10mm bolts that go all the way around. Here's your 19mm drain plug. And here are the 3 bolts in the back that some people say, or almost 4, one's kind of easy, but the 3 to 4 bolts in the back that some people say you may want to pull this cross member for right here. I'm going to try to do it without. I'll let you know how that goes. And then you can tell here, this is what my transmission is saying. Warning, use only Mopar ASRC-ATF, or it's saying ExxonMobil 3309 ATF. So that is your other option. It may be cheaper, I'm not sure. I just go with the Mopar, and that's kind of what you're looking at right there. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so obviously it takes a little bit of time just to drain the old fluid out. Doesn't look too bad. It definitely needs a change. I didn't notice anything in it so far that is alarming, and my truck was shifting and working totally fine. I just am doing this because, like I said, I bought the truck used, trying to do my best to kind of get on top of everything. Obviously too, another thing you're gonna need is some rags in case you spill, or just for your hands or whatever. You're gonna make a little bit of a mess. All right guys, so I got the pan off, pretty easy. Spilled a few drops, not too bad. I did want to say on the bolts back here, you got 4 in the back. This is the cross member right here that everybody says you should drop. What I found was with the long extension and the wiggly, weebly, wobbly elbow, it gets it in there no problem. But what I had to use is I used a pair of long needle nose pliers just to get it on the bolt. And I think I might end up using the needle nose to get the bolt started as well. And then you can get the weeble wobble up there, no problem. That was the trickiest part. So far, it was easy. We got to remove the 3, I believe they're 10 millimeters, to get the filter off. And this is the part that I've seen that gets a little bit messy. So be prepared for this to get messy. Here is our filter. As you guys saw in the video, I was able to kind of just pop the back of the filter down, and what that did was it broke this O-ring right here, and then it was able to just use the filter itself almost as a funnel, and I really didn't spill much. Now, when you're inside of anything that has wear, you want to look for any metallic that could be an issue. There are magnets on the bottom here, so you're gonna want to take those out and clean them. Little fine metallic kind of with the darker stuff like this is totally fine. It's such fine, it's inevitable that, you know, metal is gonna have a little bit of wear like that. You're gonna want to clean that all out, clean out all your magnets. And then you can tell too, the filter, you know, needed changing. I don't see anything big, which is good, but you can tell how dirty that is. I'll show you the new one in a second. Some people say you can reuse this cork gasket, but considering the intervals, according to my manual, are every 60,000, you're supposed to drop the filter, and then you can do just a fluid dump at 30,000. I figure why not put a new gasket in, so that way hopefully I don't have issues again for another 60,000 miles. You can see here, this is the new filter. It's nice and yellow, meaning that it's clean. This is the old one here, not so clean. I always like to kind of look at the parts, make sure it looks like everything is the same, the bolt holes are the same. It does have the same part number. This is a Denso part, so I imagine Ram probably uses that. It is 32020. Kind of just look at it, do a side-by-side comparison, flip it over. Everything looks the same, which is great. That's why you do your research before you buy your parts. This thing was so dang clean inside, I'm blown away. I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe this transmission is made by Toyota or some Japanese company. Not sure, but anyways, normally I sprayed carb cleaner in there just to get it really clean, but this thing was so nice and pristine in here. I mean, the truck has 140,000 miles. I don't think it's even necessary. You may want to just clean up this edge where the gasket goes, just so nothing slips and it's a good bite. As far as I can tell, this little indentation has to go towards the driver front side of the transmission. I cleaned my magnets. I didn't see anything out of ordinary that I didn't like. And meanwhile, while we've been doing this, the transmission has just been draining more. It's really only one way the filter can go. You have an O-ring right here, and it pushes up into the transmission. And then you got your 3 10mm bolts. Kind of pop it in there gently. You can hear it click in. That's how you know it's seated. Always, always, always something my dad taught me. Whenever you're working on anything, always get all of your bolts started by hand. You don't want to bring one all the way down and then not be able to get the other ones in. That's how you strip and cross thread and do all that kind of stuff. So getting them all snugged up by hand, hand tight is key. And then we're going to go ahead and use our torque wrench. I got all of them started by hand, hand tight. The reason you do that is because sometimes the gasket will fight you a little bit. Now, this is the tricky part. We're going to see how this goes. I know this is what a lot of people are worried about with the cross member, and it is these back bolts. I'm using a pair of pliers, needle nose, just to get the gasket in place. And if you're careful, you can take a pair of long needle nose like this, and you can kind of use these to guide your wobble socket up. And then once it's lined up, I'm going to turn gently, and I can see visually that it is started by hand. Honestly, super easy. In my opinion, I would never drop the cross member. All right, so everything I found says it takes 9.5, 10 quarts. I bought 10. I like this little funnel. It's pretty cool. It just screws right on. And it has a stop too. And what's nice is you can put it right there in the dipstick. That's where you're gonna fill, and then lift it after the fact. And it's pretty much no mess, which is great. So what I do personally is I'm probably gonna put about 8 quarts in. Check it periodically, but remember, you gotta check it cold, but you also gotta check it hot. You wanna let it idle and really warm up, and just confirm. It's okay if it's a quart low for a little while. It's not the end of the day. You want to constantly be checking it for like the next few weeks just to make sure there's no air in there, nothing, and you get the correct fluid level and result. Because remember, you're going to go 30,000 miles with this. So just make sure you do a good job. Hopefully you don't have any issues. Hopefully we don't have any issues. I went ahead and I did it very scientifically for you guys so you can know exactly what's going on. So far I got 3, 6, 7 in the truck. I started it because I followed what the dipstick said. Do not overfill. Add oil level is between lower etched area when cold, 77 degrees, basically, or upper etched area for hot oil, 167 degrees. It says what type to use, and it says idle in park. There you go, you can read it. So I got it in between the etched area that they're calling for right here, right there, and we're gonna let it idle and warm up in park, and then we're just gonna keep checking it. I hope you found this video helpful. I know I'm gonna get people out of woodwork saying I did this wrong, that wrong, whatever. So far there's no leaks underneath. I wiped everything clean. I wiped everything clean on the top. I'm following the instructions via the dipstick. So far, I have 7 in there. Probably gonna need at least 1 more. I'm guessing 1.5. Might be right around 9 quarts. But like I said, you don't wanna overfill it, you don't wanna underfill it. So it's okay to start it if you're down a quart. It's just gotta cycle through everything. It's gotta get in that filter, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually it should settle. Just keep checking it as it's warming up. Keep checking it. There's plenty in there. It's not dangerous. And eventually you will get the right level. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Do my best to help you guys out, and I will try to link everything as well. My truck is a 4500 2018 4-wheel drive, 6.7 obviously, and the Aisin transmission. Thanks for watching.